world, it's Keely and I'm back for another video. This is going to be a kind of rambly, let's talk through my 2026 goals. I have a video upcoming that will be a wrap up of my 2025 goals and how that went, but I've really been doing a lot of thinking and writing stuff down for 2026, and I thought that it would be a good idea to just sit down and film this and let's see how this goes. Now I have my reading journal where I started writing down some of my goals, and then I also have my laptop because I have a document going from all of 2025 documenting all of the books I've purchased, the ones that I've read, where I got them from, how many are from the library, that kind of thing. And so I just added at the bottom of it a 2026 goals section. This might be a little bit chaotic, but we're just gonna kind of go with it. For 2026, I have some yearly goals, and then I want to break that down into quarterly goals, and then I also want to break that farther down into monthly goals. I figured we could talk about the yearly goals, and I have them in sections. So the first section will all be my reading goals for 2026 broadly, and then the next section will be general channel goals for my YouTube channel. The next section is overall kind of life goals for all of the other pieces of my life that I didn't want to include in reading or channel. And I have one final section that I'll put towards the end of this clump of goals, which is finance goals. And I will try to remember to put a timestamp thingy somewhere here that tells you that portion of the video in case you want to skip that, because I know that's not for everyone and that is totally fine. In terms of reading goals, I have no set amount of books that I want to read in 2026. Previously, I spent a lot of time thinking about how many books did I want to read per year. When I started my channel in 2014, I was using Goodreads, and every year I would set a reading goal on Goodreads. And then about 4-ish years ago, I switched from Goodreads to Storygraph, and I really like Storygraphs. That's all that I use. And sometimes I will put in an amount that I want to read, but that's not necessarily a fixed amount, like something that I'm working towards. It's more of just I feel like I should have something here, so let me put something here. 2026, I'm not going to worry about that. I get so wrapped up in my head throughout the year of trying to meet all of these numbers goals and all the data and statistics and all of that. And sometimes that's really fun and that really works for my brain. But right now, I don't want that. I don't care about that. It's more important that I'm slowing down and enjoying what I'm reading and just really spending time with books and being present in the moment. And therefore I have kind of removed all of those, I want to read this and this and this, and I want to mark off, all of these numbers and meet all these quotas and stuff. 2026, I'm starting off the year not worrying about that. That could change based on how my mood goes throughout the year, but for right now, the intention is just to be kind of chill and enjoy being around books and consuming books. That's kind of the overall vibe that I'm going for in terms of reading, but the first goal that I have for 2026 is a rollover goal that I've had every year for the last couple years, and it's one that I really focused on in 2025, and I'd like to continue it in 2026, and it will play into some of my other goals, and that is to continue to use my public library system as often as possible. I will give you a little sneak peek of a goal wrap up for 2025. In 2025, I said that I wanted to read 25% of my books throughout the year from my library. I just finished a book last night, which was from the library, and I'm sitting at 134 books read for the year, and I think 30, oh my god, I wrote it down, I didn't bring it with me, 30 something from the library, I think 35, whatever it was. I'm sitting at 26% of my books so far this year have been from the library, which is incredible, and I am currently reading a book on my Kindle that is also from the library. I would just like to continue that going through 2026. I think it's really important that we're using our libraries for lots and lots of different reasons, but especially because I have access to the county that I currently live in and also Philadelphia County's library system. I have access to lots and lots of books through all different platforms, including physical books, and therefore I should really continue to be utilizing my library. The second kind of reading challenge that I have is to continue these kind of series wrap-up projects that I have been working on. Let me flip to the page in my reading journal. I have a couple different pages where I'm tracking series, but I have kind of one main page where I will be tracking series that I finished in 2025 and then ones that I'm starting. Here is my series tracker. As I finish up series, I put a little star next to the name of the series or the trilogy, duology, whatever, just the name of it. And that, I have a little thingy right here. You probably can't see it. It says that I finished that in 2025. I will have to come up with another symbol to use or maybe a different color to track the ones that I complete in 2026. I've done pretty well so far in terms of finishing up or getting caught up on some that I was interested in. The ones that are completely, like, I haven't even started are ones for 2026. That is a different video that will be upcoming, but you can see I start a lot of them and I don't necessarily finish them all up, but I have been trying really hard to finish them. Right now, the one that I read yesterday, I finished the Scholomance trilogy by Naomi Novik. That's right here. So I marked that off. And right now I am reading the second book in the His Dark Materials trilogy, which is right here. So I will mark that off as I complete that one. I also tried to write down if there are any books, like if I'm caught up and the next book doesn't come out until 2026. So I have a couple of those. Enola Holmes doesn't come out till 2026 and I'm caught up. Amari and the Night Brothers series, the next one doesn't come out until next year. The Chronicles of Weatherwhy, the Spell Shop trilogy, I don't know what that universe is called. And what else? The Murderbot. Yeah, Murderbot comes out next year, and some other ones. But those are all of the ones that I will be tracking and using this series tracker. I am also going to continue using TBR jar that I have that I always forget to grab to show you guys. It is, in true trying not to spend money fashion, it is a plastic lid to an oversized butter dish that we're just not using. So I just took that lid and I put down on little different color slips of paper names of series and then also some additional prompts in there, like start a series, binge read a series, so you have to read every book that's out so far or every book that you own, have my husband pick a new one for me to start or just randomly pick one for me, things like that. That has been very fun. I've been using that, not like officially filming it, but my husband picks one for me and I have to read that and then he picks the next one and I am tracking that in my reading journal. It's been really fun, so I would like to continue using that to help me also get through series. The third challenge that I have for the year is to read more new to me authors. Something that I need to do by the end of the year is to go back into my reading journal, go through my reading and write down how many books from specific authors did I read that year. Like I reread all of Murderbot, I think earlier this year. Therefore, that will count that I've read how many Martha Wells books. I read the first 5 books of Dungeon Crawler Carl, so I've read 5 Matt Dinniman books, and so on and so forth. But what I've been doing is keeping a list, and on this side I have 2025 new to me authors in nonfiction and also fiction, and it did go on to the next page, and then 2025 repeat authors. And you can see I do reread a lot of authors, so I would like to continue this, maybe not necessarily this format, but I would like to continue tracking that and try to read a lot of new authors. So far in 2025, I have read at least 22 new nonfiction authors and at least 44 new fiction authors, which is really cool. I'm really enjoying it. So if you add all these numbers up, they won't necessarily add up to how many books I've read so far this year, but that's because like Nancy Springer, who wrote Enola Holmes, I read a couple of books by her this year, John Scalzi, Alex E. Harrow. A couple of these authors I've just read multiples of this year. But I do want to know like how many of those authors that I enjoy, how many of their books did I read this year? I would like to continue keeping track of that. The fourth challenge for reading is going to be read all of the book club picks for Sydney's book club. I subscribe to, I think, 2 Patreons, and one of them is Sydney. She's one of my favorite content creators, and she has a book club, and I subscribed to her Patreon a couple months ago, and I need to finish the last 3 books, for 2025, and then I want to continue and read all of the books for 2026. So her book club is called the Nightcrawler Book Club. I just made this kind of template spread for next year where I can keep track of every book for every month, assuming that she's still doing the book club. I'm pretty sure that she is. If she doesn't, that's okay. I will just repurpose that spread for something else. But I would like to continue to read all of those books and stay caught up, because if I'm paying to be part of something, I should be engaged in it. So I do want to do that. And the fifth and final reading goal that I wanted to include here is to continue the Read What You Own challenge. Now, this is a challenge created by Ollie over at Criminolly, and this year there are a bunch of content creators that are all involved. I will link his announcement video down below. Basically, you just come up with either a page count or a book number, and this is how many books or pages you want to read before you purchase a new book. I decided that I wanted to take part in this reading challenge. I set a reading goal for myself of reading 25 books before I purchase a new book. That for me includes library books as well. It can be, physical books that I own. It can be ebooks that I own on my Kindle or on various apps, and it can also include library books. Since I started that challenge, we're now in week 3 because it started November 5th. I think I'm up to 7 or 8 books, and still going strong. I had the opportunity yesterday to buy a book. We actually went to a bookstore, a local indie bookstore, but all we did was walk around. I didn't end up purchasing anything. Yeah, staying strong. And I want to continue that. I want to, continue to be more intentional, more mindful of the books that I'm bringing in and how I'm spending my money, which is why I decided that I also wanted to include library books as part of my challenge. So I would like to continue this challenge. Every time that I hit my goal of 25 books, I will start it over for another 25, and we'll go from there. Okay, let's go into the next section. The next section is going to be overall channel goals. From the middle of August this year until now, I have been consistent in posting at least once a week on Fridays, and I would like to continue that. I've had my BookTube channel since 2014, but I have not been consistent for that entire time span. I have taken lots and lots of breaks, some intentional, some unintentional, and I would like to continue to stay consistent with it because my BookTube channel is really important to me, and you guys are important to me and this community, and it's just a good, positive outlet in my life and a creative outlet, and I would like to continue that. So my goal for 2026 is to continue to post at least weekly. There are definitely times of the year where I will post more often, but at a minimum, posting once a week is going to be my goal for all of 2026. The second channel goal that I have is to just be more engaged in the channel and in all of the communities that I'm a part of, all of the people that I watch, all the Patreons, like Twitch channels, all of that. And I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, man, I really have like a very, very small group of friends, and that's great. I love that. I love that I have like kind of a tight-knit group. However, I do wish that I was kind of more active and more involved in the other communities, and there's like 1 or 2 I can think of that, like, if I post something, people recognize my username, but other than that, not really. And I just feel like I'm not, sometimes it's fine to lurk. It's totally fine to lurk. If you're a lurker and you don't comment ever, that is also completely fine. But I like to be engaged sometimes, and sometimes I don't. I don't want to be perceived at all. But I also would like to try to make more of an effort to be engaged with you guys as you're commenting, or commenting on other people's videos, or just like letting people know that I'm enjoying what they're putting out into the universe, that I appreciate them, I think is also really important to do. So in the past, if you've commented and I've hearted but I haven't responded, it's because I don't know what to say. Sometimes in my head I'm just like, oh, that's nice, and then I'll like someone's comment, but I don't necessarily type back. But I am seeing and appreciating your comments, so please know that I do appreciate you very much, even if I'm not necessarily always super super active. So 2026, I want to try to be a little bit more engaged. And then the third kind of channel goal is that I want to make more dedicated videos. So I have specific challenges that I've been coming up with for 2026, like challenge videos. I want to talk more about like my favorite series, like my favorite authors. There are some authors that I've read 100%, like I've read everything that they've put out so far. There are other authors that I have like 1 or 2 books. There are some authors that I don't know that I will ever read everything that they put out because they just are so prolific, but I want to talk about that kind of thing. And sometimes I do in different, videos or throughout other challenges, I'll talk about it, but I would just like to try to create more dedicated videos. So if there are specific videos that you would like to see, specific authors, please let me know and I will add them to the list and start working on them. Now let's move into the fourth category for goals. So this is going to be kind of overall life goals. The first goal is going to be to cook or bake my way through the rest of the Colbert cookbook. Now I left it downstairs, so I will insert a picture here. This is a cookbook that I bought earlier this year. I took myself to Barnes & Noble and I just sat in their cookbook section, flipped through a whole bunch of them and tried to find one that I was like, okay, these are things that I can see myself eating or we already eat and I love, or things that I think would be a challenge to make. And I just enjoy the cookbook. And the Colbert cookbook has been the most amazing thing. Now, there are some things in it that I am just never going to make because it's not something that I want to eat or that my husband would want to eat, and therefore I don't think I would make it. I'm thinking really like a lot of the fish recipes that he has in there because he lives in New England, or he did during lockdown for COVID, which is when his family all lived together and they were cooking for each other constantly, and that was kind of what prompted him to want to collect all of those recipes and put it into this family cookbook, and it's incredible. But the main thing I'm never going to make is soft shell crab because soft shell crab freaks me out. Crabs is bugs, and I just I'm not a huge seafood person, and neither is my husband really. There are some seafood recipes. He has like a couple different whitefish kind of recipes that I think I might try to make at different points, but they're like those ones I don't foresee me making. I am 100% okay with not cooking my way like 100% of the way through the cookbook, but it's been an incredible experience to cook my way through it, and something that I've wanted to do for a while. If you watch Lauren from Lauren in the Books, she is a huge cookbook user, and she does challenges where she tries to cook her way through an entire cookbook, and it's just been so fun to watch. And I was like, man, I really want to do that. So I have started doing that with the Colbert cookbook, and I would like to continue that into 2026. I will also give you a sneak peek of my spread that I will be using to keep track of that, because my husband and I have this kind of joke thing that our kitchen is called Keely's Cafe, and so as I cook or make, like bake or cook something new or really challenging, I will come out of the kitchen and be like, now serving from Keely's Cafe, this, or like new on the menu, this. And so I made this little spread that just looks kind of like a cafe window, and this is where I'm going to write down all of the new things that I am baking or cooking in 2026. I just think that's going to be a lot of fun, and I've had a lot of fun doing it so far, so I am going to continue that. The second kind of life goal goes very similarly with the first one, and this one is to continue family dinner. So my husband and I are together, obviously. We live by ourselves, like we don't have kids is what I'm trying to say. We don't live very close to a lot of the family that we want to interact with. I live about an hour from my sister, and his sister and brother-in-law live in Florida. So we don't live super duper close. And we also have a dog that's very reactive. So our bubble is very small. It's primarily me and my husband, and then our friend group, which never come here. We always go there. That's like a dog thing. And something that I really enjoyed growing up that didn't happen that often, but I did really enjoy it, was this idea of like a Sunday dinner, like a big family dinner. I think we did it like twice growing up because I can remember what they were. I love the idea of a family dinner. And I know it's something that's much bigger in the UK. At least my perception of that is because they always say like, what's your favorite like Sunday roast? And so many people have an answer. I'm like, oh, okay, so you've all experienced a Sunday roast. You all have this. this weird thing. And so a couple months ago, I started that with my husband, where Sundays I call family dinner, and we do it like once or twice a month. I haven't done it in a couple weekends. I have one coming up in December, but basically it's where I spend, you know, half a day on a Sunday making a big ass meal, a challenging meal, doing like new recipes, things that is like a big Sunday dinner for me and my husband, and I call it family dinner. I want to continue that in 2026. The next family dinner that I'm doing for me and my husband is going to be, well, I'm cooking for Thanksgiving, so that's just going to be in general, but the next big one will be in December, and for that I am going to make a Colbert recipe, which is his beef Wellington, which I've never made before. I've never even eaten it before, but I'm gonna challenge myself to try to make it for us. I think it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be really hard. The most challenging one I've done so far has been making a bolognese sauce. That was intense. That took a long time. And so that was fun. But I want to continue family dinner because it's been really fun, and my husband's also been enjoying all the good food. So I want to continue that. The third challenge for life is going to be to keep all of my trackers and shit up to date. I have a lot of different trackers that I use through Google Sheets, Google Docs, my reading journal, all kinds of things. And I would like to try to keep them up to date because it's kind of a pain in the ass when I realize, oh shit, I forgot I had this tracker for months and now I want to go back and update it. So I want to just try to stay on top of that. The primary ones that I use are like tracking all of the books that I buy throughout the year, of those, which ones have I read. And then I also have a series tracker. Obviously I showed you guys in my reading journal, but I have a Google Sheets document that is a spreadsheet that is a huge series tracker and the ones that I finished, so I want to maintain that. I have one that is this kind of massive tracker of like books that I would like to read. It's kind of like bucket list books, and it's a lot of like classics, authors and stuff, and this got created because I was watching YouTube channels from people that have English degrees or literature degrees, and was starting to really judge myself about how, like, you know, they've read all these great books and I haven't. And so I was like, you know what helps my brain is seeing it written down. So I made this spreadsheet of all of these authors and how many of their books that I've actually read, and I was like, oh, like, dumbass, you have read a lot of those books. Just because you haven't read War and Peace doesn't mean that you haven't read a billion other classics. That's where that came from. I would like to continue to work my way through some of those books. It also includes just authors that I think are like of the moment right now that are really big, and so I would like to also read some of their books. So it's like classic authors, more modern classics, and then ones that right now are just really popular that it seems like everyone's read from them that I haven't read from. So that's what that tracker is. Part of this is that I also just want to continue to use my book journal in general. So I did start putting together a bunch of spreads for 2026, which I've shown you some of them, and I do need to figure out how to film a video walking through all the things that I was using for 2025. I didn't start a reading journal until September, but I'm going to continue to use this until I use the damn thing up, and then we'll get another one. Much as I love like Archer and Olive and all of the other brands that people absolutely love, I'm not going to buy a new reading journal until I have finished up the one that I have, because it's perfectly fine. Plus it's got all these stickers on it. I will eventually need to get a new one to track all my stickers, because this is something that Sydney does that I thought was a cool idea. And basically, as you get stickers throughout the year and you're like, what do I do with these stickers, instead of holding on to them and never using them, I've just been putting them in and on my journal. I want to continue using this. The fourth challenge for this section is just to continue to be creative. Using a creative part of my brain is so lovely, and I enjoy it so much. I really enjoy painting, and I love making things with polymer clay and drawing and like just coming up with stuff. I also really like fixing stuff, and I just want to continue to do that in 2026, continue to use that part of my brain. I have this folder under our bed in a storage bin that has all of the awards that I was given as a kid at school, and a lot of them are art awards. I did a whole bunch of art classes. I would take extra classes from this local lady and all these art awards, and I just like fell off of that as I got older, and I have been over the last couple years getting that back. Like I made like bead bracelets for people, and just like having a creative space that uses my brain is just so much fun, and I really enjoy it, and it's like very healing to my soul. So I just want to continue this kind of vibe of creativity and using it also as an outlet for my mental health, because I have anxiety and depression and PTSD and all the fun stuff. And so I want to continue to have this creative outlet, whatever that looks like. And so, you know, for our house, we have our creative area. So my office is very much like, I have paintings on the walls, I have drawings that I have done, I have little knickknacks and schmibs everywhere. I have a shit ton of books. I have a gaming setup because I'm a big PC gamer. I have, you know, all of these things that I love for my creativity. And then my husband's office downstairs is the same, but all of his creative outlets. And so I really just want to continue this into 2026. And the fifth kind of overall life goal is to stay consistent and on top of my physical and mental health. Right now, I am in a very good place with my physical health and my mental health. Having a forced month and a half off of work made a huge difference, and I want to continue the habits that I have instilled over the last couple months into 2026. The biggest one being running and working out consistently. It does wonders for my anxiety and depression if I'm consistently working out. It also has done wonders for my physical health in terms of running. I feel very strong right now as a runner. I'm slowly building up my mileage again. I just did a 5K over the weekend, and I would like to continue that, but going very slowly and intentionally, and making sure that I'm taking care of myself so that I don't re-injure my knee and exacerbate that nonsense. And I just want to continue to kind of set myself up for success so that when I have those times throughout the year where my mental health dips or my physical health is kind of shitty for whatever reason, that I don't feel like I have to start over, more so that it's just a dip and I can come back from it. I just want to stay very consistent with the things that I'm doing to set my brain up for success and to set my physical health up for success as much as I can. Okay, last section. We're gonna start this at about 30 minutes so far into this recording, but once I edit it down, like I said, I will let you know when this section wraps up. For 2026, I am going to be doing a low buy year. Now, I've done kind of low buy weeks, months off and on over the second half of 2025, and it's been kind of great. I've really enjoyed it. There are definitely times where I've been like, screw it, and you know, I will go out and buy something, but that's more indicative of my mental health. As I have been watching a lot of people that do low buy or no buy, you know, high savings, high, you know, not spending anything, basically, that isn't for necessities. I have been seeing a lot of people really talk about how they've reset their brain in terms of consumption and being more comfortable sitting in their own body. And I was talking to my husband about this, that this one creator that I've been watching, Emmy, I will link her channel down below, I think she's great. She talked a lot about how when she got rid of social media, when she got rid of all her email subscriptions that were like advertisements, when she decided that she wasn't going to just let herself doom scroll or let herself be pulled into going to a store just to walk around or just to buy things for the sake of buying things, she really had to have like a conversation with herself about her mental health, because you have to be like in your body and present. And I think that's great. I love that. I am very much in my body all the time. I have been in therapy for a very long time and have gone through EMDR for dissociation and PTSD and all of that. And so it's like a constant thing that I'm trying to be more mindful of myself and more grounded and in the moment. And I would like to continue this into 2026 in terms of also my spending. And I have never, thankfully, since we've been adults and have been making our own money, my husband and I have been very lucky that for the majority of the time that we've been adults and working, we've been in a good place financially. There have been times where it hasn't been that way because we've had only one income or life situation changes, emergencies happen, that kind of thing. We've been more intentional and more mindful over the last 6 years, I would say. That doesn't mean that we don't have hard times, but it just means that we're more comfortable. I want to continue that. I want to make that even better. In terms of low buy, I'm not going to say that I'm not allowed to buy anything in 2026 because that's not sustainable, that's not feasible, but I want to use my library more. I want to use up the things that I have in my house more. I want to really think about, why am I bringing this thing in and what purpose does it serve? Is it just making me feel better in the moment, which is sometimes totally fine, but I don't want that to be the thing. I don't want consumption to be the thing that makes me feel better, because it's not actually making me feel better. It's just like a cover up for whatever emotion I'm not working through, whatever experience I'm not working through. Really want to continue to use what we have, use the library and free resources. Earlier this year, I took a community college course in the Genocide Studies program, which was like $800. It was a great course. I really enjoyed it. I had the finances to do it. I wanted to do it. I thought it was really important. But going into 2026, you know, I don't necessarily want to spend another $800 on an online course. I want to try to continue to use free or low fee options. And then the biggest thing is to just keep social media off of my phone. I used to be huge on Instagram, and for a long time I had a Facebook, like when Facebook was big and popular, but I've gotten rid of Facebook, and I still have Instagram accounts that I sometimes look at. I am in this cycle right now where like I won't have Instagram on my phone for like weeks and weeks, and then I'll be like, oh, well, I want to look at running posts from some of my favorite creators, so I'll download Instagram and I'll scroll, and then I'll eventually realize I'm doom scrolling, or I hit like some bullshit political post, and I'll be like, oh, get rid of it, and so I'll remove it from my phone, and then the next day I get it back. I want to try to stay more consistent in not having social media on my phone, because sometimes social media is really great and sometimes it's really, really bad. And so I want to just go into 2026 with like a fresh brain and not be like wrapped up in all of the, you know, consumption mindset or bullshit of the internet. I want to try to just stay in my body, stay focused. And so I want to keep social media off of my phone. And the final part of the first, you know, low buy thing is to practice wanting, which sounds weird. Stay with me. So practice wanting is, instead of seeing something that I want and going out and immediately getting it, just put it on a list. And if I still want it a month from now, then I can get it. That's kind of how it works with us getting tattoos. My husband and I both did get a couple tattoos throughout the year. And what's happened in the past is like tattoo artists, the ones that we've used, are not booking for like today. They're booking for like 6 months out. So if I book an appointment 6 months out for a tattoo I want today, in 6 months, do I still want to spend that money? Do I still want that tattoo? And this year it's been, yes, we've had a wonderful time. But in previous years, it's also been like, no, you know, and so that time span helps to take like the, ooh, shiny off of it. And so I want to try to continue that as well. I've been doing that with books recently, where I haven't been buying any books. So like I know that there are end of series that I've been wanting to read, or like new books. I just put a hold on it at the library. And what I've noticed is, for the new books that come out, by the time the hold gets like to my turn, I am not interested anymore. So I want to continue this practice of like, if there's something that I want and it's not a need, I will just put it on the list and then go back to it throughout the year and be like, do I still want this thing? If yes, then okay, I can consider getting it. If no, then cool, no money lost there. The second kind of overall goal for finances is to maintain my budget tracker. I have a budget. I created it last week for the first couple months of the year, and that includes all of the things that I am knowingly spending money on. It did take me a couple days of going through, you know, my credit card statements and my bank account statements and my savings statements and all of that, and seeing like, okay, where is money coming out and where is money going in, and making sure that, you know, those subscriptions that are like once a month or a couple times a year, that I'm catching those so that I'm not caught out later. I was caught out last week, and it's something I need to do some research into this week, and that is pet insurance. We have pet insurance for our dog. That was one of the big things when we first got Zoe, my dog, in 2018. I did a ton of research into what are the known potential medical issues of the type of dog that we have. She is a Chihuahua mix, and mixes tend to be better in terms of not having really serious issues, but little dogs in general have potential issues, like their knees can have a problem. You have to be really careful with putting collars on them. So Zoe does not wear a collar at home. We have a collar for her, but she doesn't wear it. When we go for walks, she wears a harness so that the pressure, you know, if she lunges or pulls or whatever, the pressure is on her chest, not her neck. Because for little dogs especially, that was something I learned, that was like, okay, if she sprints and like runs forward, she could damage her neck if she's wearing a collar, and I don't want that. So I did a bunch of research, and we signed up with a pet insurance company. Thankfully, we've never had to use it, knock on all of the wood. My dog has been very healthy, but they recently charged me for the next month, and it was over double what it was the month before. And I have no idea why. I have not been able to find any of the documents that explain why. So I want to do some research and determine, is this still the best company, the best option now that it's been, 6-7 years, and determine, is this the company that I want to continue using? And previously I wouldn't have even noticed. I'm very lucky that I'm not living paycheck to paycheck. I haven't in a while, and that's amazing, because if you grow up that way, it's very, very stressful, very upsetting. And I don't want that to be the case. I love that money doesn't necessarily have to be a concern. Like I had to buy stuff for Thanksgiving, and I wasn't worried about, am I going to be able to afford the ingredients to make a big Thanksgiving dinner for me and my husband? Whereas growing up, that was very much a concern. And there were times where we didn't have food in the house, and we, couldn't afford electricity and all of that. As comforting, as incredible as it is to not worry myself with that kind of stuff, I still need to be aware of it and be mindful, especially with rising costs of like everything right now. And I just want to be more intentional with everything. So I have this budget tracker. I want to continue to use it for as long as it serves me. I would hope that I can continue to use it throughout the year. Knowing my brain, I know that I get really into using, something and then not using it. So I want to try to use this budget tracker as much as I can and really keep an eye on my spending. The third one for this, and this is like my most shameful one. I want to track all of my book purchases for 2026. Now, I already track the books that I buy in terms of like what book it is, but I have never tracked how much I actually spend on books. I went back this weekend, and I can't tell you how many times while doing this I wanted to quit, because I was like, this is so stressful. I don't want to know this number. Like, this is ridiculous. But I sat through it. It took me about an hour to go through and find everything throughout the last year and write it all down and then add it all up. And y'all, it's egregious for me. My husband doesn't think it's that bad in terms of, something that sustains me throughout the year, my biggest hobby. I think it doesn't need to be nearly as high. Full disclosure, I've spent about $2,700 on books in 2025, and the year's not even over. That's nuts. I know there are people that spend way more. There are people that spend way less. I want to be in the way less party. I definitely want to use my library more. I want to buy used books more. Oh my God, that's just it, just growing, having that brain of like, I can't believe how much I could have spent on something that's just crazy to me. Like, that's $2,700 that went to a hobby, and yes, it's important. It brings me joy, all of that. But even spending half of that could have been just as fine. So in 2026, I'm going to be logging every single money, like every amount that I ever spend on books, I will be logging that, including ebooks. That was also a thing that I was like, oh shit, go through all the Kindle daily deals, and make sure that I'm writing all of that down and keeping track of that, because I don't ever want to get caught out. And there have been times where I've been caught out and I've been like, I don't understand, like, where did my money go? It's like, bitch, you spent $5 here and there on Kindle books and didn't consider it, and then went to Barnes and Noble and spent $120 and then did it again the next, like, bitch. Like, so I just want to be more intentional with that. The fourth one really is to prioritize putting money into savings. I have taken money in and out of savings over the years. Having a savings is a very privileged thing, and I'm so happy as an adult to have a savings, to have a retirement account. All of that stuff is incredible. Growing up, my parents did not have that, and so it's incredible to be able to have that. And I want to continue to use savings and retirement accounts and all of that, and rainy day funds, and make sure that, on a day-to-day basis we're fine. But let's say that tomorrow we would have to, get new tires or something. That would suck. It wouldn't destroy us, but it would still suck if we didn't have money put away for that. And so I just want to make sure that I am prioritizing putting money into savings, because theoretically I have been putting money into savings with every paycheck. But other than the money that automatically goes into my retirement account, I have not been mindful of doing that. So I want to make sure that I'm setting systems up and that I'm doing things that are prioritizing savings. Those are all of my yearly overall goals. At this point, this video is already 43 minutes long before editing. I think I'm going to stop here and let this just be what it is. I have other things that I also want to work on throughout the year, but I think I'll just talk about them as they happen. Let me know what your goals are for 2026. Is it something that you've been thinking about? Do you have like categories? Are there goals that you do every year that have been really great for you? And I just appreciate y'all so much, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.